Yeah, man. It's very different than the last show we did. Welcome back to the Storm Postgame Report. It is 10:03 at you can't see my watch. Who cares? 10:03 Friday, May 30th here within Climate Pledge Arena. Christian Braswell, myself, here for this show. Tough one against the Atlanta Dream. This game quickly turned from a dream into a nightmare. Um, Seattle had a 17-point lead. The first half, it seemed like they were chugging along. I mean, they didn't really seem to have trouble with this sort of new look Atlanta Dream team, with the amount of threes that they were taking. I think it was very weird in this one to see Brittany Griner play, I think 15 minutes and have like a negative 20 or higher than that, plus minus. I know plus minus isn't everything, right? But still, um, just to cap off kind of a really ugly night in Seattle professional sports. I'll get this quick note out of the way. Um, because I know this is the Storm postgame report. This is not the Seattle postgame report. Um, the Mariners had a three. Oh, they turned the lights off on me. The Mariners had a three-run lead going into the ninth. They blew that, and they gave up nine unanswered runs to lose 12-6. Um, our men's frisbee team was playing a few hundred feet that way, actually, at Memorial Stadium. Yes, that's the right window. They are 1-6 now on the season, and now the Storm lose this game, giving up 17. They're blowing a 17-point lead. Just Christian, man, this was a wild game. I mean, I feel like we obviously, I'm sure they did, but we felt good in the first half. I mean, we got some early minutes from some of your rotation players, seeing some Erica Wheeler minutes as a starter with Alicia Clark out due to a left ankle injury. Loved kind of what we were seeing from Erica Wheeler. I think I said it in our Slack. It looked like Wheezy was kind of all over the place, running after rebounds. Coach Quinn talks all the time about how Erica Wheeler being on the court allows Skylar to play off ball. I saw that. Zaya Cook had some strong minutes, I think, in that second quarter. Um, it felt like NECA had things going early, bouncing back from the rough first half she had last week, a few days ago in Minnesota. And then I think mid to late third quarter it was, because as you mentioned initially, the third quarter started to look all right, right? And then I don't know if I've ever seen something like this. I don't know if this is true. I heard it from one of the Atlanta people that was here in attendance. But it sounded like seven and ones for the Dream, just getting to the free throw line consistently, constantly. Um, so Seattle blows a lead. Alicia Gray plays out of her mind. Ryan Howard plays out of her mind. Um, I think those two combined for 61 of the 94 points. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Yeah, 33 for Howard, 28 for Gray. Um, Jesus. Yeah, man. I know we'll go into different aspects of it, but what's coming? And I know this game just happened, like again, literally just happened. But what are your initial thoughts coming out of this one? Because it's again, Atlanta is no slouch, but I mean, Seattle very much had this one.
Yeah, I mean, a 4-2 team, four straight wins. I mean, the Atlanta Dream are exactly who we thought they are. You know, they are one of the teams, one of the very few teams coming to this season that just seemed like they had mostly everything figured out, right? I mean, the way they just kind of never really gave up. I mean, Seattle opened the game up on a 12-2 run, right? Great. It's really good, really great stuff. I mean, half of those points coming on the fast break, a quarter of it coming in the paint. I think they only had a couple jumpers other than that, but all of it coming in the paint. Great first quarter. Then the second quarter comes and it's like, okay, well, Atlanta's getting back into the game. Their defense is turning to the offense. Kind of same thing Seattle does pretty well. Arguably the best team in the league. They're doing that right now, besides the Valkyries, which is kind of crazy to believe that they're turning opponents over for almost 19 points a game, which is almost a fourth of their scoring. And Seattle is kind of in the same fashion. But yeah, that second quarter was kind of when it's like, okay, they're playing well, but they're allowing them to stay in the game. Then you go to halftime, and it's like, okay, well, you're still up. I believe it was 34 to 20, no, 45-34. Um, Everything was smooth sailing, pun intended. Uh, but then the third quarter happens. Of course, you see arguably one of the craziest halves of basketball that I've ever seen. Was it eight 3-point plays? Or was it seven? I think it was eight. Yeah. Either way, way too many. So I mean, Alicia Gray had a 6-0 run herself. Ryan Howard had multiple runs where she's just getting the ball back and just putting it on the rim, or it's just netted from back. Just think about this. BG and Alicia Gray were 3 for 13 in the first half. Alicia Gray was 2 for 6. She finished 8 for 15. That means she went 6 for 9 in the second half. 21 points. I mean, you can't really script it up any more than that. At least, you know, like Coach Quinn said in the post game, Atlanta's a really great team, and Seattle just didn't really have their best foot forward, really, for almost half of the game. Besides those first couple of minutes to open the third, where they had that, I think it was a 6-0 run themselves. Yeah, it's not a, there is no such thing as a pretty loss, but I would say kind of what I wrote about in our latest piece that came out today. It was kind of a pretty loss in Minnesota, considering the way last season went, where the game ended, kind of never really giving up. But if anything, this game shows, really to anyone that just watches it, not even people that cover the team, just anyone that picked up this game, and you find out that Seattle is down, 4 players essentially, and then Alicia Carter was actually on the active roster. This team can't afford a long-standing injury. Like bare minimum, that's one game was all that you need to see that this team, you know, and it's not even really just about the depth. It's about the depth at the small forward position.
Hmm.
With Alicia Clark out, Gabby's the only true small forward on the roster. I mean, we saw Coach Quinn go to the 3 guard lineup more often than she did the three big lineup that I thought we'd see a couple times, which I think we did see Lee Uri out there for a couple of stints with NECA and Essen. I have to go back and check before play-by-play stats for that. But yeah, I mean, 3-3. You haven't, this is your second loss, where it's like, well, you kind of get beat at your own game, which is kind of what Phoenix did in the first game.
Mm.
I'm not really surprised at the way this game went, considering I know how they only had 4 other bodies ready to play in this game. But at the same time, I've seen teams win with less. I mean, I remember watching Phoenix Mercury games last year where they had the bare minimum players, and half of them were probably
Jeez.
hardship deals, and they're still giving teams fight. They're still winning games. But yeah, it wasn't a great outing. But then again, 6 games into the season, I don't think there are going to be too many ones where it's like everything goes right. As far as the way the team going forward, just the way they're performing. Speaking of Coach Glinder and the presser, basically just the offensive rebounds, the second chance
Mm.
points, and also she said the want to rebound the ball. I mean, Seattle right now is the third worst rebounding team per game. I think it's around 32, if I'm not mistaken, which is again the third lowest in the league. Concerning that's the front court pairing that you have, and then you have the ample depth behind them that you do with Dom and Lee Rue, you would think that they would be a better team as far as that department. They were one of the best teams last year. I'm not sure what's the disconnect is. I mean, it's not really on any one player, right? But it doesn't help that Ezzy's having probably the worst 5 game start in her career so far. At least
Yeah.
games where it's like she's expected to be that, third option almost regularly, especially in the paint. I mean, sometimes she's going to be second, depending on the way that she's flowing. But um, I don't know, just you can't even really say that it's not. I mean, she had 8 points and 8 rebounds, right? That's not a sluggish performance for any type of player. But for Ezzy, it's less than what you expect, especially the flow of the game and how it came. Um, yeah, it doesn't help when she's only, rebounding the ball 8 times. And sometimes the way that they come, it's not really when you need them. I mean, you think about it, she averaged 8 last year, but it just doesn't, the impact behind them, I guess, isn't the same. So yeah, I mean, that's really all I got on this game. You know, I'm sure I'll probably think of more after I watch the game. I mean, it's already midnight here. So probably gonna watch the clips in the morning. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to really take from this one besides you can't be injured at all.
Yeah, well, and that and we didn't get an update, and I understand it's just after the game, right? But really hoping that there's nothing like substantially wrong with Erica Wheeler, right? Because that does all sorts of mess to you, because I mean, I'll say this, okay? And this is more kind of like combining a few of my thoughts here, as you were speaking, right? Is that I am so often in the shows that we do, whether it's this one, the different ones, the Mariners, the Rain, the Sounder, da 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 da. Like I'm so often the optimist. And it's the hope that kills you, right? Especially living in this city. It is very much the hope that kills you. Except with this team, again, considering the 4 titles they've got hanging up there, I still think they should be individual titles, but that is a different conversation than banners we're having. Um, yeah, I'm not, you know, I think that like as you mentioned, like depth, like lack of that, having the roster that you do with as you mentioned, you're missing 4 players from your roster, right? You know, sorry, I got off a tangent there. Fucking banner talk messed me up. Yeah, no, let me get back to Erica Wheeler. I'm really worried about that because I think it was somewhere in the middle of the fourth quarter that she kind of went down, kind of hobbled around a little bit, was able to, stay in. But then towards the end, I think around the 3 or 2 minute mark, after a possession down here, this on Media Row, we're about, if you're looking at it like with the Storm logo facing you normally from the TV, well, we're on the left-hand side of the court. Um, After one of the Atlanta possessions down here, she stopped and put her hands on her knees and she just looked like she was in pain and was trying to, think through it and then hobbled back to the bench. Um, yeah, as I mentioned, Noah Quinn did not have an immediate update on her after the game. Um, and at least with Alicia Clark, I asked pregame, what AC brings, and what if she had any update, and she just kind of said aches and bruises. So it's like it seemed like a management thing, especially with the Aces coming up on Sunday. But it's hard to not be a little concerned, especially with Erica Wheeler, who, to get to my point, sorry, I got the train back on the tracks now. Um, it is early, but it felt like Seattle had truly found another ball handler that they were missing last year. Because don't get me wrong, I love Sammy Whitcomb. Sammy had a good game tonight down in Phoenix. Um, but like Erica brought you something, has been bringing you something that you didn't really have last year, right? Um, and she'd really been starting to put some things together the last few games. So that's just really tough. Um, I I know I think we've talked about this before on the post game report, Christian. What are you seeing with Ezzy? Because and maybe this is my own fault, but I've always like seeing what Ezzy's been able to do, seeing how well she was playing in 22 before they signed Tina Charles and they started Tina Charles. And, seeing the defense like every year, the last few years, it feels like, a lot of the folks in Seattle are starting the Ezzy Magwagor for Defensive Player of the Year campaign, right? And I'm not saying the defense is lacking, but it's saying like my point is Ezzy's star has grown each year that she's been in the league, right? Like been actively playing because I know they had her rights for her first year, but she played in Australia. I just felt like there was another level coming with Ezzy, like given the year she had last season, the off season that she had, right? And as you've mentioned on numerous occasions, whether it's recording or online, she's had a long year. There is no such thing as an off season. Are you seeing anything different? Is it a lack of, we talk about a dominant Ezzy as an aggressive Ezzy, or backwards. Are you seeing a lack of aggression? Are you seeing just hesitancy? Is there anything in specific, or is it just it doesn't look like normal Ezzy? I don't know. Like, does that make sense? Are you seeing anything different from her to start the year?
Well, for one, I am not a basketball savant. I am not a expert when it comes to these type of things, but I will say that I have watched every single Storm game this season twice, maybe three times. So I feel like at least on this team and things that I've seen, I can speak on. There's one thing that Essie does that I haven't seen her do in a while. It's bring the ball down below her waist when she catches it, and then she has 2 feet in the paint. By the time she brings it up, defenses are already keying in. They're trying to get the ball out of your hands. And like more times than not, it's either turning into a turnover, a deflection, or just kind of an errant attempt. It's happening more often than I've ever seen her do that before. And like I said before, I'm not sure if it's kind of a fatigue thing. Again, starting the season, you stop, go to the Olympics, you come back, you finish the season. You have a quick playoff round, then you go overseas after a 2 month break, and then you basically you run all the way up until the season starts out with Praha in the Euro League. So, I mean, I think Ezzy is just one of those players that deserves a certain level of grace because of her resume. I mean, there's a reason why there's depoy chance, but for the last 2.5 seasons, three going on. Um, yeah, I'm not. It's not to a point to where it's detrimental to Seattle's process. So I don't think it's something that's something to get too concerned about. But it is concerning, considering this is arguably your third most important player on this roster, sometimes second. So yeah, but that's really just on the offensive end. I'm not worried about the defense. Um, Maybe just a little bit on the interior. You know, I mean, then again, this is an Atlanta team that is pretty good. I mean, they're 5-2 now for a reason. Winning some 4 games straight, arguably the hottest team in the league right now. But I think, like I've said before earlier today, if there's one thing that's going to hurt Seattle, it's the fact that there's just a lack of true depth at the three. When teams go small, Seattle doesn't really have a counter. I mean, it's you don't you have to bring in Erica Wheeler and you have to slide Gabby down to the three. That is your only option. You can't play Gabby and Erica both 35 plus every game. You just can't. It's not a sustainable process. And I think I'm pretty sure Noah Cohen knows that, right? Which is why she's trying, which I feel like again, we have to give Noel Cohen some props, right? The rotations, the ATO chops this year, they are supremely better than last year. Whether it be the second year running what she runs with this team, kind of a heavy read and react, heavy nail presence. It really just depends on the matchups, which is again why she's been so forthcoming with really telling the media what it's like as far as the matchups and rotations, letting us know when she's doing something, why she's doing it. Which I can't say many coaches actually do that when it comes to strategy, which is kind of a plus if you're on this beat. You take advantage of it. If you don't, you're slipping. Um, but yeah, not having an advantage at the three is gonna hurt this team. Like you saw it in the second half. Really, Nia Selman can stretch the floor to three. She did before because she shoots well enough to. I mean, she shot well over 35% um, this offseason in Australia, the WNBA. So yeah, I mean, how many offensive rebounds does she have? No, I feel like she had more. She said she had zero offensive rebounds. That can't be right.
You talking about Nas?
Nah, Nia,
Uh,
I'm tweaking. Yes, she
oh,
had. Okay, well, she only had one. She had 6 offensive rebounds. Yeah,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Ah,
Yeah, I saw Nia Coffee and I was just like, no, my eyes. And I was like, that's not so. And I was like, no, it's not. Clearly it's not. I see in and just like, there you go. But yeah, 6 offensive rebounds of the team's 13. I mean, that's really where it comes from. The second chance points. I mean,
Hmm.
you can't allow that to a team that's the best rebounding team in the league. And for that to happen without Brittany Griner on the floor, I'm not gonna say it's embarrassing, but to a team that prides itself on a strong interior play on both sides of the court, it's a cause for concern. That is to say the
Yeah,
least. Again,
yeah.
the third worst rebounding team in the league. That's I don't know. Is it the new calling card? Is it the 3-point shooter from last year? Now it's rebounding.
Well, and being doing this since 22 for me, right? Whenever Sue's last season was. Um like had Noel Quinn, well, doing it in person because I had the podcast when and Dan Hughes was the coach for half of the year then, but obviously a podcast is different, right?
Yeah,
Anybody
y'all heard
can
that. Man's been doing
get
this
up
for a
on a
while.
microphone. I'm getting old. What year is it? But
This
anyway,
guy
Noel
is
Quinn,
so low.
as long as Noel Quinn has been the coach, right? It feels like it has been such an often thing to hear we didn't rebound the ball well enough, right? And they out rebounded the Aces, excuse me, last time we were here. And
And the
so,
links.
oh, did they? Wow. Okay. God, I
Yeah.
must have forgot that. So, okay, yeah. So, and the Lynx aren't necessarily a small team either, right? Um, So I at least remember asking after the Aces game because Noel has so often talked about rebounding being a mentality thing, right? Because I mean, you see smaller guards rebound the ball decently well. I mean, Naz Hillman isn't the biggest player on the court, right? Not always to use Naz Hillman as an example, but you get what you're saying, right? If you've got, and then she talked about it after this game in the press conference that sometimes it's a will, it's a want to, right? And I'm just like. And she talked about this towards the end of the season too. Like, I don't, I'm not saying that the players aren't playing hard. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm like, as long if this team understands that they need to rebound the ball better, and as you mentioned, they out rebounded Minnesota and Vegas back to back games. I don't like it's just weird to me that that's like a consistency thing and how rebounding has been such a thing because it's funny we talk about this team being a bigger team, right? And how they you know, don't really have, what they've got, you know, Sky, Eric, Alexi, Zaya. Those are your guards. And then it just all kind of goes big from there. How I don't know. I do find that funny that the rebounding is an issue there in that regard because that was one of the things I was excited about going to the season, right? Was your size, your length. Was I mean, you heard it from me, right? So I guess I didn't think too deeply about the opposite of that. Um, I don't know. It is interesting. Like, and I didn't want to go back and you touched on, Coach talking about strategy anywhere. That is very like refreshing to hear because I hate getting buzzworded to death. Here, we competed real well and the guys fought real hard. I don't care about that. Like, and I don't think the fans care about that, honestly. I think it's more refreshing to hear coaches break things down and or be more honest. Nneka's always very honest and truthful. Gabby's maybe a little bit more blunt about things. What did she say after the Minnesota game? I don't
I don't know,
know.
man.
I
I'm not
play
a ref.
basketball.
Yeah, I'm not a ref.
Yeah.
Like, also, you trying to get me
Um,
fined? Like, come on.
yeah. Well, yeah. So
Kind of like
I
tonight
don't
when
know.
Noe was like, I had asked about basically what you take from the game, and she's like,
Yeah.
we're not getting the same foul calls, and she's like, you know what, Atlanta is a great team. I was like, yeah, say the face, man, because they watch.
Yeah. I know there's a few times Noel would come off the stage there in the press conference room and say, "Thank you guys for not getting me fined." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So yeah, I guess to wrap up my thoughts, I mean, I think I'm really intrigued to see what updates, if any, we get about Erica Wheeler going forward. I'm hoping it's just I don't know, like a cramp or something. Like that's a veteran, so I don't really expect it to be a cramp. And obviously, they got all sorts of things on the bench here. But I mean, you're hoping for the best, right? Last thing you need is like what, a fucking sprain? Because then you're down another guard, and who's dominating the ball handling, sorry, behind Skylar? Are you relying on Gabby to do even more? It's like the five-tool player in baseball, right? Are you forcing Gabby Williams to put another tool in her tool belt that is already chock full and she's working overtime? Like, I mean, it's bad. Like, because I don't know. Zaya, don't get me wrong. Zaya provided some good minutes off the bench today. Neko is very complimentary for her talking about how in the post game about I think our friend Bella um asked that, and she said Neka said that Zaya hardly ever comes into the game and makes mistakes. Brought some good energy. She hit one of the three pointers that Seattle was 2 for I think 11. Oh, and I want to get to that because if you are just the type of person to go and look into the box score, look at this, Christian. I mean, I'm sure you're already looking at it, so I don't know why I said look at this, but you look at your starting five. Everybody except for Ezzy is 14 points or more. Seeing 16 from NECA, 14 from Gabby, 20 from Skylar, so she continues her torrid pace. Erica 14. That's pretty solid. Eight and eight from Ezzy, sure. Um, 5 from Lee, 4 rebounds. Um, I did like the Lee minutes I saw. It was tough. I think past she had some good second quarter minutes, if I remember correctly. Dom got 9 minutes, 4 points in this one. Zaya Cook, nice 6 minutes. Yeah, the one three-pointer. Ooh, I didn't realize 6 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, does it become her? I mean, it's just you can't afford that though. And unfortunately, you talk about the three, and I know she can play like a big guard. Who do I miss, Christian? You miss Jordan Horston. I
Jordan
mean,
Horton is key to all that. I try not to say it too
right?
often, but there's just so
But
many, man.
it's true though. I mean, you talk about
You know,
like giving Gabby a break.
Gabby
I
misses her
I
mini
talked about
Gabby.
yeah. I mean, like it is just such a big thing. Like I knew when we found out about it, it was just like, oh fuck. So, again, I try. Sorry, let me rein it in because this is the Storm post game report. This is not some overarching thing into the next year, but it is something you consider. Again, I was trying to wrap up my thoughts because yeah, if Erica Wheeler's hurt, makes you think how does that ripple effect, you know, have an impact on the rest of the roster? You know, it's going to be really interesting to see what, if any, updates we get ahead of Sunday, because you play an Aces team that got embarrassed here, and is certainly looking to not I can almost guarantee they will. Oh, let me not get in trouble now. I'm not making no bets. Do not use my code at DraftKings. I have one of those. Um, but you have to feel like Las Vegas will not lose by 20 again here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, Yeah. So that's I guess some of my feelings is I'm worried about Erica. Um, you need AC back as much as some folks don't like her. I sure, but yeah, man. Oh, that was my other point was just looking at the box score again. You look at that starting five, you feel pretty decent. I mean, you look at the 3-point percentage and you see 27.8, 27.3, sorry. Not great. 50% from the field the rest of the way. I mean, you see two big games from two players in Atlanta. You see Brittany Griner go 1 for 7 with 2 points in 15 minutes. If I just skimmed that, I'd think Seattle had a good game. Eh,
You know, you would think that, but I also think that a large reason of why Seattle's offense is kind of plateaued in a lot of these stretches. Um, Again, this isn't it's not one player's fault, but as Ezzy as Ezzy Magor's you know evolution kind of plateaued a bit. If you look at it last year, arguably one of her best seasons as far as like just shooting the ball, jump shooting. She shot 42% on jumpers. She shot through most of the season around 40 to 50% on shots near the elbow. Kind of one of her favorite pull-ups. Do you know what she's shooting on those shots this season? On shots in the same area, she's shooting 17%.
Oh, I was gonna go mid-20s.
Three
Jesus.
three for 17.
Wow.
It-
Huh.
it's just not gonna cut.
No, no. Yeah. Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
Lots to
I
think
guess
about. I mean,
I guess this is kind of another stat. In the first quarters of last year, as he was shooting 47%,
mhm.
right? And most of her attempts in games came in the first quarter.
Hmm.
Do you know what it's at this year?
Uh, less than half of that.
Yes. She's shooting 30%. She's 4
Ooh.
for 13 in the first quarters.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I was saying, I'm trying to not be too like long-term worried, but these are things, especially with the post-game report, I think about them. I mean, as soon as we leave the court, I mean, leave the court. I'm not playing no games. Um, yeah, I get off the bed. No, as soon as we come for press row and head to the press conference room, I'm thinking about this stuff, right? Because I mean, this is our job to talk about this, to think about this, because sometimes I'm not saying this will, but sometimes these speculations, these thoughts, these sort of trends that you look at, these overall feelings about players and or teams with how they're playing, they do become true, you know?
but
I mean,
but that's the thing though. It's not even really just about this season. It's over the last couple of seasons.
yeah,
Like, can you
yeah.
honestly tell me that Ezzy Magagor's, development as an offensive player has changed within the last couple of years? It hasn't. A player that skilled should be taking at least 5 mid-ranges a game. At least.
Mm,
At least in that spot to maximize what you can do actually near the cup. That's just
mhm.
not happening this year. I'm not sure why, because there really is not that much turnover. We keep hearing about how it's Nneka and Ezzy and then kind of everyone else in the front court, right? Understandably so. Two All-Stars, two future Hall of Famers. But at the same time, one half isn't clicking.
Mm-mm.
And that's a big half of your front court
Yeah.
and a big piece of your team in general. Ezzy does so much on the offensive end that doesn't show up in the box score. As a hub, she's always operating. She's always finding better shots for people. I mean, she's 6'4", 6'5" for a reason. We're just not seeing that this year. You know, I'm not sure why. This is maybe a system change, but for a player that important, you think there wouldn't be. So a lot of different variables.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I guess fun way to, I think I said it last time. Like there's the fun like full circle things where there's something I think about in the beginning and then it comes back. Look, we got 38 of these things to go. So I'm wondering if this is a stretch because players have stretches that aren't great, right? There are stretches, and I'm wondering if that stretch just comes, in the beginning of the season for Ezzy Magwagor. So I don't know. Lots to think about for sure. I mean, it's not all bad. Like, there's a reason Seattle got into a place for us to feel like this was bad, right? They didn't get smoked from the jump, you know. So, nope. All right. So, yeah, we will be back. I'm trying to figure it out because Sunday Mariners play at 1 o'clock, the Sounders play at 3 o'clock, and the Storm play at 3 o'clock. I imagine I will be here at lovely Pledge Climate Arena. These nice folks are trying to do their job and clean the hell out of this place. Storm Aces on Sunday. It is a repeat of the last Sunday, which is very fascinating. I don't know what the schedule makers were thinking. I really don't. And then you get the Beckerless Wings on Tuesday, right? So
Beckerless wings is crazy.
I'm
Crazy.
sorry.
And I think Ty Harris is still out too. So
Oh, um, I'm sorry. I saw a picture today that was Enrique and Paige, and someone said Enrique and the Holy Ghost because of how pale Paige was. God, you guys kill me. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah, man.
that's 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 the app for me.
See, I'm
Yeah,
I'm half
tomorrow's
white,
the thirty
but I'm
first,
not.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Ty Harris's question for tomorrow's matchup against the Wings. I mean, against the Wings, against the Sky. So we'll see.
So, um, yeah, Sunday back here. We'll see what goes on. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I don't think. No, I think Rowan should be back. I think Rowan will be here on Tuesday against Dallas. So that might be. Oh, actually, I don't know if anything's going on. Oh no, Mariners is Tuesday. I'm sorry, I'm thinking ahead. Anyway, that's our sixth Storm postgame report. Tough one here, tough one, especially coming off of the way that Seattle lost that Minnesota game. Thought maybe that was a good omen for going forward. They'd learn from that one and push ahead. But I mean, again, Atlanta's no slouch. There is no slouch in this league. Um, without getting too disrespectful, of course. There are teams you could look at, but
Wait, I just thought about it. Every time Rowan's
uh,
been on, every time Rowan's came on a post game, they've won, haven't they?
I oh huh
Yeah, she was on the Phoenix one. She was on the Wings
yeah
one.
yeah hmm.
The
Makes
fans
you
love
think.
Rowan. I'll say that much.
Makes you think. All right. Well, there's your recruiting pitch to Rowan. Say, hey, buddy, we got to do these post games all the way to the finals. All right. Like, need to be doing this and then have confetti on the court.
All the
Hey, that'd be
way.
cool. Anyway, until we see you Sunday, Sunday afternoon from Climate Pledge Arena. Christian, myself, take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
Away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports. So I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.